Evening, y'all. Proverbs 31, right? Last one. The sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, son of my womb. Listen, my son, for the answer to my prayers. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and the needy. A wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ship, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her beds. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. Right. So let's see. So in verse 3, when it says, do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings, for strength, another way it could be translated as wealth. Right? And it doesn't mean that you never buy anybody that you like or anybody that you're dating. You don't buy them nothing. You don't spend any money on them whatsoever or anything like that, right? But you don't spend all your money, all your time, all your effort, everything into somebody who doesn't give it any kind of appreciation whatsoever, right? People do change, right? But whenever you ask somebody to marry you, you need to make sure that somebody who you have faith in the new person that they wake up as every day, is going to be somebody that you're going to fall in love with, right? It's not a game. It's not where you play house or anything like that. Whenever you marry somebody, it's a covenant for life, right? And it's sealed in front of God and everybody. And if you do things the right way, right, and save yourself for marriage, she does too, and that evening it'll be sealed in blood, right? Because that's how covenants are sealed. It's how Abraham sealed a covenant with God, right? With a flaming lantern passing in between all the cut up animals and stuff. And it's how Christ renewed the covenant with us, was with his blood, right? He was the Passover lamb because he got killed Passover weekend, right? Which is a big kind of multi-day, 2-3 day feast that the Israelites did to celebrate them coming out of Egypt, right? And even in the original Passover, blood is what separated them from the Egyptians that they got freed from. It was that final plague that God sent against Egypt that finally, it was the one that finally caused the Israelites to be free. God warned everyone and said, hey, there will be an angel of death passing through Egypt. Your firstborn son will die if you don't have the blood of a lamb on the doorway of your house. This is how you cook the lamb. This is how you kill it. This is how you're going to eat it. This is how you keep watch that night. And you do all that, right? So that you're ready to move fast. And the reason, they didn't know it at the time, but the reason that they were told and instructed to do that and to move fast and to not put leaven in their bread and wait for it to rise and stuff was because the next day, that's whenever Pharaoh said, you know what, enough is enough, leave, go on, get out of here, Shalom, get. I let the Israelites go, and the Egyptians were so eager to get the Israelites gone because they had brought so much God had brought so much calamity on Egypt to make them let the Israelites go, that they gave them all their wealth and just shoved everything in their hands, and they said, here's everything I have, get out, right? But even that that Passover was sealed in blood, right? That covenant was sealed in blood, and Jesus renewed that whenever he died on the cross, right? All that to be said, marriage is a covenant, right? It's supposed to be a covenant, and it's supposed to be your most important covenant while you're on earth with other earthly people. So where it says, don't spend your strength on women and vigor on those who ruin kings. Don't spend all your wealth, don't spend all your strength, don't spend all your time on a woman who ain't worth it, right? Now, whenever you find one that is worth it, absolutely spend money on them, spend time with them, spend your strength on them and stuff like that, right? But the Lord still comes first before your wife, and then your wife comes before anybody else, right? Let's see. It is not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Right? I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with having a drink, personally. Right? That being said, back in the day, the reason that they drank alcohol was because there wasn't really a good way to be able to purify water consistently, right? But you know, alcohol kills germs and stuff like that, so you'd have a little bit of alcohol with every meal, a little bit of wine with every meal and stuff like that, and it was safe to drink, right? And so they would have wine and things like that. But I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, Jesus turned water into wine. It's his first recorded miracle, right? It's why during the Passover meals and the very first I'm blanking on the word, what we call it today, communion, right? With the little crackers and the wine and the grape juice that you get at church, right? That was originally unleavened bread and wine from the Passover feast, right? Given a new meaning at that time. You know, they were still having wine for stuff like that, but Jesus never got drunk. The disciples never got drunk, right? And it's telling you here that for kings, they don't do it, so they don't forget what's been decreed and oppress people. And you might think, well, I'm not a king. Well, Israelites were called to be a nation of kings and priests, right? And if you're saved, then I believe that you are grafted into the tree of the Israelite family, right? You're an adopted son of the Most High. At that point, functionally, that's the family you belong to, is Israelite, right? A true, actual Israelite, not Israeli, not Jewish, an Israelite. If they're called to be kings, it says it's not good for kings to drink wine and get drunk and crave beer. And guess what? You're a king and a priest now. So don't get drunk on wine, don't crave beer. Right? Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. Listening to a couple podcasts and a couple ministries that I like to follow and stuff like that, right? A lot of the ones that are kind of worth the time and effort to follow and support personally, right? You ever listen to how those ministries got started in the first place? And a lot of them, it was they saw a need and they responded to it. They didn't wait for anybody else to do it, right? A lot of folks have heard about the bystander effect, where it's essentially the more people witness something, the less likely they are to do something, because they'll think it's somebody else's responsibility to do it, right? And how many times, because I know I'm guilty of this, I'm not gonna lie, how many times have we seen something going on that ain't completely kosher and ain't completely right, and just kind of shrug and walk the other way, right? Now, I've never witnessed anything absolutely horrendous and just ignored it or anything like that, right? But even small things, I should have spoke up about on, like, hey, I ain't your daddy and I can't tell you not to do this, but you probably shouldn't do it, right? That's something that I'm working on, right? That's something that I will do better on, and if you're listening to this, feel free to hold me accountable for it, right? That's not a comfortable thing to sound, something that's going to be immortalized on the internet forever, but it's true. At any point, call me out on something if I'm doing it wrong. Hold me accountable, right? Do something about it. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. All right. From verse 10 all the way to 31, so 21 verses, right, are about a wife of noble character. If you run around in Christian circles for a while, sometimes you hear about a Proverbs 31 woman, right? It talks about how she takes care of her household, and she does this, and she makes sure they're clothed, she gets up before the dawn, she cooks for the house and for her female servants, and all this stuff, right? Ugh. And obviously, I'm not a woman, right? So I can't tell anybody how to be a godly woman. Read your Bible and do what it says, right? And if you ever need some inspiration, read Proverbs 31. As far as advice that I can give chicks, that's as far as I can give it. And that's mildly unfortunate, because I have a wife and 2 daughters. So, hey, ought to make the future interesting, right? But there is a part in here where it says, verse 23, her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land, right? So if you're a guy and you're looking for a girl to spend the rest of your life with, and you keep thinking like, well, I want a Proverbs 31 woman, I need someone who's godly, someone who does this, who takes care of the household, who, you know, does all this stuff, right? Ask yourself, are you worthy of a Proverbs 31 woman? And be honest with yourself, right? Look at yourself objectively, and I'm not talking about things that you can't change, like, you know, the shape of your face and the sound of your voice, and things like that, right? Do you keep yourself clean? Do you keep yourself fairly in shape? You ain't got to be an Olympian or spend all the time in gym, but can you, go up 3 flights of stairs without getting winded? Can you do some at least light physical labor around the house that is going to come with being a homeowner, so that your wife doesn't have to do it while she's taking care of everything else, right? Are you going to be healthy enough to be able to play with your kids when you have them, to be able to help your wife whenever she's pregnant and can't do things? Are you somebody who can actually hold a conversation about stuff that's meaningful? Are you a leader? And I'm not talking about, are you a leader as in you have to be a CEO, or, who's going to carry the boats and all kinds of ridiculousness, right? to an extent. Are you reliable? Are you somebody that folks can look to when everything start going a little bit sideways? Right? Not that they always will look to you whenever stuff goes sideways or something like that, but can they? Have you been able to handle stress? Do you spend time at the city gates and seat amongst the elders? Either in the beginning, I think you seat around the elders, right, to learn from them, right? You show up as a student, and then you go from being a student to an apprentice, right? And then eventually, as people die out, and as you get older, and should you stay the path, continue to get wiser, right? Then one day you will be in the seat of the elders, and whenever you speak, people will be coming to you for wisdom and instruction and advice, right? Are you somebody who cultivates that within yourself, where you can be that kind of person? Do you even go to the city gate at all so you can be a part of this? Whenever this says city gate, back in the day, the city gates, where everybody was coming and going in from the city and everything like that, is basically where everybody met up to discuss news, to listen to philosophy, to be able to hear teachings, right? It was the place to go to be able to meet anybody and really do anything. Being honest with you, do you even show up to the city gate? Do you even go to church? I own a Proverbs 31 wife. Cool. When was the last time you went to church? Right? Not only did you go to church, when's the last time you were involved in your church? Right? Well, I don't have any skills. Sure you do. If you can push a broom and run a vacuum, congratulations, you have skills. If you're old or going through a health spell or something like that, you can't even do that. Can you speak? Can you listen? Can you offer encouragement? Can you receive an email that says, hey, these are people that we need to pray for and check up on, and do that? Right? Pray for them and check up on them and stuff like that. Are you even showing up in the city gates in the first place to do anything worthy of attracting a Proverbs 31 wife? Right? And doing all those things doesn't necessarily mean that you do that and then the next day your dream girl is going to waltz into your life and just absolutely swoon over you, and next thing you know, you're living on 12 acres with 5 babies and pulling in 6 figures running your small farm or whatever it is, right? Transformation takes time. There's been a couple of miraculous transformations in the Bible, but they're vastly outweighed by stuff that took years, even decades, for somebody to change, right, into who they needed to be, the lessons that they learned along the way. So if it doesn't happen, excuse me. So if it doesn't happen immediately, that's all right, right? Stay the course. There's enough written in the New Testament about basically keeping the faith and being consistent in your walk, right? And perseverance and endurance, which tells me that it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So I don't know if there's any women listening to this or not, but if there are, sweet. Read Proverbs 31 if you ever feel stuck and don't know what to do, right? And it's going to say that she's doing all this stuff that seems very specific to skill set that you might not have, but I would ask you to think on it and to read deeper into it, right? Right. That's all I would think. And if you're a guy, when you're looking for a wife, read Proverbs 31, look for those qualities in her among others. And think about what they mean, what they would mean to you, and what you think they mean historically and such like that. And that's about it, y'all. That's the end of Proverbs. It said we would do one a day till the end of the month, and as best we can, we have. Right, I know some of them are probably uploaded like barely before or barely after midnight or something like that, but there's one of these for every day this month. So yay for that. Honestly don't know if I'll be doing much reading the Bible on camera much after this. We'll have to pray on it, we'll have to think on it. Probably won't be something that we just pick up and continue with immediately. But I hope that somebody got something out of this. At least one of them. If one of y'all got something out of this, then this whole shindig was worth it, right? I've learned some too doing this, and I appreciate y'all listening in on it. If you have, it's appreciated. So, sorry, dogs. There you go. You can hear dogs are acting a fool. Anyways, love Jesus. Surrender to him. He's awesome. And remember, whenever the only thing worth doing in life, to be honest with you, is accepting Christ. And once you do that, you're not called to anything easy, but you're called to things that are worthy. So, but anyways, I'll do a quick prayer for the last one, because why not, right? King Jesus, thank you for anybody who's listening into this. I don't know if they'll be listening to it now, whenever it's within a couple days of being posted, or a couple years down the road, or whatever, Lord, but they'll find it when they're meant to. And thank you for that timing. You are a good God, and you are a just God, and there's so much that, I'll be honest, I personally don't know about you and fully understand yet, but I will testify, because it's what I know to be true, that you are good, and that you are just, and that you love us, and that whenever we put our faith in you, it's putting our faith in the right thing. And love you very much, Lord. And if there's somebody who's listening that hadn't accepted you yet, I pray that they would accept you, that they would find a church, they would tie in, that they would read their own Bible and make it theirs, and that they would they would be a worthy bride to you, right? Because you're the bridegroom. You say your church is your bride. So I guess even as a guy, we got stuff to learn from Proverbs 31, right, on being a godly wife for you. But thank you that you forgive us for anything, and that redemption is possible no matter what we've done. And thank you. We love you, Lord. Amen. So, fun stuff, right? But anyways, y'all have a good evening.